What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is gonna be your review of Filthy Rich season 1, episode 8. So, hold on, y'all. A whole lot of stuff went down in this episode. I'm gonna try to get it all together for y'all in about the next 15, 20 minutes, right? So, it is the day after, what have you, of Margaret and Eugene finally hooking up. And Eugene is still basking in the glow. Margaret seemed like she has sort of moved on in the moment. Now we know that that Eugene has been waiting for Margaret his whole life. We get this other flashback where they're supposed to meet up at their little special rendezvous. He, sneaks some desserts from the dinner because this is still the night of the cotillion. He sneaks some desserts away. He's got candles. He got a blanket. Like, he got the whole thing set up. And the whole episode, we see them because I'm just gonna go ahead and knock this out. The whole episode, we see them flashing back, with him waiting for her, right? Which is a parallel to this episode because he ends up waiting for her this whole episode. But we're gonna get there in a second. And then at the end, Eugene and his friends roll up on him. Was I calling him Eugene the whole time? Franklin, the lawyer. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Eugene and his friends roll up on Franklin and whoop his ass. And I'm thinking to myself, how did y'all get to a point where you was now working for him and y'all was all, well, we never really see what their relationship is other than, well, yeah, we kind of do in the first episode. But anyway, Margaret is, this fight that Antonio was going to have is going to be on the network because that has always been his lifelong wish is to have this fight. Now remember, his mother set the fight up with old boy from the 1820 club, and Antonio's going to throw the first fight, win the second fight, set up the whole trilogy, the whole rematch situation. Y'all remember how that used to go down. And Franklin is on the sideline looking at Margaret, and he all grinning and smiling, and like, yeah, that's my girl, that's my boo, I finally got her. And when she comes off stage, they talk or whatever. And she tells him what he wants to hear as far as our relationship. Yeah, it's the same but better. And he was like, yeah, that's what I was ready to hear. And so he says, how about you be my date for the fight tonight? And she was like, I can't do the violence. But of course, immediately in Eugene's mind, he was like, okay, all right, I thought we was going to do something here, but it looks like for her, it's business as usual. I thought she was my boo, Now, Ginger is hanging out with Becky. Now remember, Becky is the pregnant wife of Eric, right? Because I don't know if I've been calling that child Becky, but her name Becky. They're looking at houses, and the realtor automatically assumed that they were a couple, and Becky cleared that up real quick, like, I'm not a lesbian. But that's the part, I don't think I forgot to tell y'all that the last episode. I think that's the one thing I forgot to tell y'all. I told y'all about Franklin and Margaret getting into it, but I didn't tell you about Becky and Ginger getting into it with that wedding dress on down to the no-tell motel. They got into it, if you know what I'm saying. But of course Becky is like, okay, I had a little night of passion, but girl, that's not what this is about to be. So, anyway, so we see all that going down. Now, we getting ready for the fight. Antonio is there. His mom is talking to him. He meets the dude that he's supposed to fight. And of course, the dude is an asshole. We also meet Bo. Now, if you go all the way back to like episode 2 or 3, where Margaret had invited the crew down to the country house or whatever, and we find out Bo is the son of one of the 1820 guys, and that's who Rose was supposed to marry, the one who was going to be with the Supreme Court or whatever. Well, we meet Bo. Bo's a jerk. Come to find out, the reason why the wedding got called off is because Bo slept with all the bridesmaids, okay? All the Rose's bridesmaids, okay? And he is no longer interested in trying to get to the Supreme Court. He's now working for his dad, the boxing promoter, and he's like he's going to be running this whole fight. And of course, he tries to flirt with Rose, but Rose is just not here for it. Like, we see that Rose is just not here for it. Now, on the other side, Eric then rolled up on what's left of the 1820 crew, and it's telling him, listen, we got to make good on what we've been doing to these people. Like, we've been getting rich off the backs of everybody else's tragedy, and what we're going to do is we're going to start putting more money back into the missions. Instead of the 30% we've been giving, we're going to bump that up to 50%. And old boy was like, whoa, Like, that's cutting into my profits. I don't know how I feel about this 50%. And Mark was like, well, I'm CEO, and it is what it is, and that's what it's going to be. Boom. Now, the rest of the 1820 crew, they not feeling that. And um, they trying to figure out how they're going to come up with something else, right? Victoria shows up with Mark. And of course, Rose automatically is like, really? Like, wow, this is how we doing this? And he tries to talk to Rose, and Rose is like, boy, bye. Like, I thought we was cool. I thought we was trying to do something, but you done left me, kicked me to the curb, and you hanging out with Victoria. And he was like, Victoria is my mom. She was like, no, Victoria is Mark's mom. Well, the real Mark's mom. She thinks you're her mom, and I mean, she thinks she's your mom. And he was like, well, I don't want to crush her. Sorry, sorry, y'all. I don't want to crush her, her spirit or whatever. She really just wants to do something nice for the son for the son that she thought, she gave away or whatever. Like, I ain't trying to bust her bubble. And Rose was like, really? Like, that's how you gonna do that, woman? And he was like, well, you didn't seem to have a problem when I was doing it for y'all. So, like, why I can't do it for her? And I was like, well, he kind of got a point, Rose. He kind of has a point. Um, Now Eugene, the real Eugene, I guess he really is alive, y'all. Okay. I guess that first episode was just him dreaming or something shit. I don't know. But he meets up with the reporter, and he's giving the reporter all this information. And he lets the reporter know, like, listen, you have connected the dots with the 1820 Club here in New Orleans, but there's an 1820 Club in every major city in these good United States. So, yeah, you got this part, but please understand that there are so many other pieces to this. Baby, Eugene starts printing out receipts. He starts printing out all types of documentation to prove what they were doing with the money and how they were rolling with the money. And Eugene was like, I knew what they were doing. Like, I knew that they threatened all the women I had babies by. I knew they broke Yummy's hands. What was her name? Yummy? Antonio's mama. I knew they did all of that. He said, but I justified it in my mind that, basically I justified it in my mind because I like being rich. Like, the ends in my mind justified the means because I like being rich. He was like, but at this point, like, God sent me back to make good. So the reporter told him that the pilot, that they think that his plane went down on purpose. And Eugene was like, no, that was an act of God. That was God sending me back here to make good. And, the reporter was kind of like, I don't know about that. So Antonio goes to weigh in for the fight, and he don't make weight, child. But, honey, Yummy take him in the back, give him some good laxatives, wrap him up in some cellophane, tell him to sweat that thing out so he can get his weight down, honey, because this fight is going to happen. One way, shape, or form, this fight is going to happen. Now, down to the no-tail motel, what's her name? Yummy ain't right. Yuppie? Yuppie is better. I think Yuppie is the woman name. She got all of the former employees of the wagon. That she got them set up because since Antonio is throwing the fight, she gonna bet all $6 million, and she got it set up. They can only do it in certain increments, and so she got all of the women waiting and like, listen, when I call y'all be ready to go on and y'all be ready so that y'all can make these bets. Because Antonio's going to throw this fight. We're going to triple our money, quadruple our money. We're going to do what we got to do, and it's going to be what it's going to be. And I was thinking, Yummy, you always be fucking up the money. What the? Yuppie. Yuppie. Yup. Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. Antonio damn mama. Now, while all of this is going on, Rose is, real testy, nauseous, tired. And so Margaret was like, so are you pregnant? And she was like, girl, I'm not pregnant, Margaret. Like, mother, I'm not pregnant. And Margaret gets her to take a pregnancy test. And she was like, I'm only going to do this for you because I know I ain't pregnant. But just so you get off my back, I'm going to go ahead and take the test. Well, y'all know she pregnant, child. She pregnant by the fake mark. Okay? Now, for whatever reason, Margaret assumes Bo is the father. I don't know why Margaret assumes Bo is the father. We ain't seen Bo through this whole series. I don't know what made anyway, but that's what she thought. And so she gonna actually go to Bo talking about something for him to do the right thing. Bo was like, yeah, I ain't seen your daughter in a year. Like that, it ain't me. I don't know who did it, but it won't me. And Rose goes to let the fake Mark know, like, listen, Rose, Mark, shit, Ginger goes to let the fake Mark know, listen, you need to go talk to Rose. She got something she need to talk to you about. But before he can go talk to her, Bolden spilled the tea, talking about, yo, your sister is knocked up. I don't do sloppy seconds because, of course, he thinks Mark is the sister. So Mark goes to talk to Rose, and of course, the first thing Ginger said was, the first thing Margaret was trying to do was marry her off, and Rose was like, what you not gonna do is make me get married in some shotgun wedding like you did Eric. I ain't doing it. Like, I'm gonna make a decision. It's my child, my body, my decision. Ginger was like, girl, we, because they were already gonna be going to New York to meet with some buyers, um, about her clothing line, because of course Margaret is trying to make this exclusive to Sunny Club. And she was like, well, wasn't that always your dream to be with Sunny Club? She was like, yeah, that was before, but now I got some money and I have an investor and I got somebody that believes in me. Ginger done set me up with meetings all over New York to try to sell my clothing line. So Ginger hits her with, listen, it's things we could do in New York that we can't do down here. In other words, girl, we're going to go see a special doctor, okay? And so when the fake Mark came to see her, she was like, listen, what we decided to do, okay, but it's not fair to bring a child into that, because either we have to expose that we knew all along that this was a lie, or run around with people thinking that I got pregnant by my brother. Like, either way, it's not a good alternative, however you look at it. So he tells Rose, listen, whatever you decide to do, like, if you don't want to keep the baby, it is what it is. And Rose was like, listen, I'm really sick of everybody trying to tell me what to do with my child, okay? I will make the decision. Now, while all of this is going on, Mark is also talking to Paul. Remember, he confessed to Paul last week that he had killed his brother. Well, the 1820 Club want to get rid of Mark, and they want to bring they want to get rid of Eric, and they want to bring Mark in. And so Paul is blackmailing him. And, Mark was like, hold up, I told you that in confidence. Like, I confessed that to you as a man of God. Like, you gonna blackmail me with my own shit now? Like, that's what we doing? And again, that's what Eugene was explaining to the reporter. Eugene was like, listen, they explained that Paul was a part of their choir, and he sort of weaseled his way up the ranks, and that's how he became the pastor or whatever. And that that's what Paul's gift is. Paul's gift is getting people to confess to him. His gift is getting people to tell him, their deepest, darkest secrets. And so he got all these powerful people to tell them his deepest, darkest secrets. And that's how he was able to, get all of this power, because now he knows everybody's business, and he pretty much blackmails them, which is what we saw him doing with the fake Mark. And the fake Mark was like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I don't know how I feel about this. Now, while this is going on, Eric is at work. Becky goes to visit him, and Becky was like, yo, I want a divorce. Eric was like, you what? She said, yeah, I want a divorce. Like, come on, like, you're a good man, but you know and I know. Like, I know you got the little concubine down to the no-tell motel, and little do you know I got me one too. But, like, listen, this isn't going to work. Like, it is what it is. And, of course, he tries to talk her out of it. Like, wait a minute. Like, we got the child. What's going on? And she says, listen, we can't make this. It's not going to work for me. And Paul even comes in there, and he tries to get them to work it out or whatever. But remember, that sort of gives him an out, because when the 1820 Club told Paul, get rid of Eric, he was like, yo, that's my brother-in-law. Like, I can't get rid of my brother-in-law. But now that Becky wants a divorce, and they're gonna be his brother-in-law no more, his conscience is sort of clear, right? Now Eugene and Margaret have a conversation, and Margaret is talking about the kids and how she can't do this, and how she's so lost and she don't know what to do, and her next move and all of that. And Eugene was like, well, shit, for a minute I thought you was talking about us, because you've really been acting real funky since we did the Watusi last night in your bedroom. And she says, well, I mean, you too. And so they have a conversation, and she tells him, she said, listen, this is just a lot for me. You're going to have to work with me. He was like, a half of a lifetime? Because basically, again, Eugene been in love with her his whole life, and he been waiting on this. And so she was like, well, you got to work with me. This is all, new for me. You're going to have to, work with me through this. And he was like, okay, cool. I got you. Um, he was like, but don't be afraid of love. She was like, so, she said, so I'll come to the fight. Save me a seat. He was like, yeah. Because remember, he had asked her to come to the fight with him before, child. He was like, yeah. So Eric, after realizing that he couldn't convince Becky to stay with him, even though he really ain't want Becky to stay with him, he calls down to the no-tell motel, tells his little girlfriend, listen, me and Becky breaking up. I'm going to be down there to see you tonight. And she was like, I can't see you because I'm babysitting Jesus. And he was like, okay, but I mean, I'm going to be, like, we can't come down there? Like, what's up? So, of course, she really want to see him. And so she going, sorry, y'all, my glasses sitting funny. So she really going to see him. I mean, he going to really go down there to see her child. Now, the reporter meets up with Paul. Paul is now giving the reporter all of his deepest, darkest secrets because now he's trying to set up Eric and the whole family at this point. He's trying to set the whole family up to make them look like they ain't shit. So he gives the reporter all of this information, and the reporter was like, well, why are you giving this to me now? He was like, I just can't live with the guilt anymore. I just don't want to be a part of this anymore. And Paul gives him information that the pilot was dying anyway. The pilot was sick, and the pilot was dying anyway, and he pretty much sacrificed himself to do what the 1820 Club wanted him to do, which was crash the plane because they were supposed to be killing Eugene. Now, while all of this is going on, child, remember Hagerman, the hitman that ended up the one that actually killed Towns, but they think it was a suicide? Well, remember that episode? He saw Becky pregnant, and he was calling her child like the devil spawn. But then he saw Jesus, and he was like the only pure heir. He's the chosen one, or the first heir, or whatever. He's the chosen one. Because technically he's the first grandchild, not Becky's child. So he's in the parking lot and he peeping the scene, and he's of course, spouting that what must be done, Bible verses and stuff, but basically, he about to do something. So we getting ready for the fight. Antonio has been struggling all day with throwing the fight. It goes against his very nature. It goes against everything that he has been working his whole life for. But he also can't let his mother down. He knows that his mother set this up, got a lot riding on this. Now, Margaret goes to see him before the fight. And, of course, she tells him, listen, you're our warrior. You got to, stick to what you know. I have faith in you. I'm going to be praying for you, and all that good stuff. Eugene sitting, court ringside, wait for Margaret to show up. Child, Margaret don't show up. Margaret leaves Eugene hanging, child. Like always, he leaves Eugene hanging. Victoria ends up showing up with Mark and sitting down next to Eugene, and she makes a comment about Eugene been waiting for Margaret his whole life and how sad it is that Eugene is sitting around waiting for Margaret. Talking about some people shouldn't you shouldn't get people's hope up like that. So it kind of went back to the conversation he had with Rose about lying to this woman and got her hopes up thinking that something really gonna go down that ain't really about to go down. That ain't really her son. So the reporter gets back to the house, and he has all the information that Paul gave him, and he lets Eugene know, listen, nah, bruh, your plane went down on purpose. They were trying to kill you. And the story, he's going to write the story, and the story is going to come out in the next day's paper. And so he tells Eugene, listen, do you want me to call Ginger? Do you want to talk to Ginger before everything hits the fan? Because, once this story come out, it's all going to be a wrap. And he was like, yeah. So he gives Eugene some money, tell him to go down to the flower shop and get some flowers. He going to call Ginger, tell Ginger to meet back at the house so that Eugene can have a conversation with Ginger. So he does that, of course. He calls Ginger. He's calling Ginger. Ginger's at the fight. She keeps sending his calls to voicemail. He leaves her a message saying, "Listen, you need to come by here when the fight's over. I got some important information about Eugene or about your father." And then somebody's knocking at his door. So on the voicemail, you can hear somebody knocking at the door. That's gonna be important later. We see him open the door and we see his face like register something, but then we don't see nothing else. Later on, we see Eugene coming back with them flowers, reported dead. So, unfortunately, now his house gonna be a crime scene, and all that paperwork, all that proof, all that documentation he been putting together, it's gonna be under police, custody. We're gonna see how that work out. Now Rose and Margaret had a fight, and Margaret told Rose, "If you go to New York and import my grandchild, then I would, me and God would never forgive you." And she was like, "Listen, if you can, like it's my body, the baby is barely, whatever." She was like, "But if you can write me off, if you can hate me, then it was never really love to begin with." Then Becky calls Eric, because Becky done figured it out, right? Becky not stupid. Becky done figured it out. She called Eric. She said, "Eric, listen. Now that me and you are not together, you are expendable. Like, I can't divorce you, because if I divorce you, you're expendable. And the 1820 club, oh, they gonna come and get you." And Eric was like, "What?" But then it clicked for him too. Like, he was like, "You know what? Damn." Now, while all of this is going on, the fight then started. Antonio was fighting Yummy, whatever the woman name is. She done called down to the no-tell motel, told them ladies, "Bet the whole $6 million. Put it on the line. Let's do this." And the fight is going, and the fight is going, and the fight is going. And you see Antonio going back and forth, trying to figure it out. Grappling between whether he should throw the fight or he should fight. And he's down. And the guy's whispering in his ear, "Okay, submit now. Like, go ahead. Give up. And you see Antonio thinking about it. You see him thinking about it. And at the very last minute, he flips the dude, because it's sort of like an MMA fight. He flips the dude, and he starts whooping the dude's ass. And Antonio ends up winning the fight. Now, while this is going on, Mark has decided that he is not going to allow Paul to blackmail him. He rolls up on Bo, because he ain't like Bo. He thought Bo was an asshole. He rolls up on Bo. He calls the police on his damn self and says, "Listen, this gonna be a physical assault down to the fight. My name is Mark. Come on, send the police." And he rolls up on Bo and starts whooping Bo's ass. Now, I don't know why he chose Bo. Why you ain't whoop Paul's ass? He don't want blackmailing you. Bo ain't do nothing but be an asshole, baby. So Yami runs into the ring after Antonio wins the bet. She runs into the ring, and he was like, "I'm sorry, Ma, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it." And she was like, "Listen, you think I don't know you? You think I don't know my son? I knew you wasn't going to throw no damn fight. I knew that wasn't what was in your blood." She said, "Listen, we just quadrupled our money because I put the whole $6 million on you to win." And she was like, "And now we have enough money where we can call our own shots." Now, I don't know what make her think it's going to be that easy, but whatever, because, you made a deal with the devil, and somebody is going to have to pay the piper, but, baby, that's another story for another episode. Now, we see Rose and Ginger are on a private plane on their way to New York, and at the last minute, who comes running on the plane? Margaret. Talking about I love you, you're my daughter, whatever decision you make, I'm here to support you, and this, and that. Mind you, poor Eugene, still sitting on the side waiting for Margaret to show up. Margaret ain't never show up. Now, down to the no-tell motel, Becky is in Ginger's room waiting for her, because, she told Ginger that she was leaving Eric and this, that, and the other. And so Ginger was like, "You can stay at my room until you figure things out." Who come knocking at the door but Mr. Hagamon? Now, Hagamon, he comes in there, and she was like, "I'm going to call the police." I never understand why people announce what they're going to do, especially since you ain't nowhere near a phone. But okay, you're going to call the police, child. He picks up the phone, and he proceeds to hit her over the head. Now, I thought he was going to do something that I didn't want to think about. But He didn't. He used that as a distraction to get what he really came there for, which was what? Jesus. He'd have kidnapped Jesus. Because again, like he said, Jesus is the real heir. Now, I think he thought by beating Becky up, it was going to cause her to maybe lose the baby. But he didn't do nothing to the baby. He did do something to her, but he didn't do nothing to the baby. Eric did go down there to go see Rachel. Rachel was his little side chick. He did go to see Rachel, but he let Rachel know, listen, I'm never going to be able to leave Becky. You know, I'm stuck, like, because I'm sort of, you know, between a rock and a hard place, and I'm stuck in this situation, and I can't leave her. But so they're laying on the bed. They're not having sex enough, and they just laying on the bed, and they start hearing somebody saying, "Help me, help me, help me." And Rachel gets up to go see what it is, and Eric gets up, and Eric realizes that it's Eric realizes that it's that it's his wife. And so he busts in the room, and he sees her laying on the ground. And like I said, she's alive. He didn't Hagamon didn't do nothing to the baby. But it looked like he did kind of like hit her upside the head with the phone or whatever the situation is. Child. That's pretty much where it ended. That was a lot. It took me almost 30 minutes to tell y'all because so much happened. Anyway, we only have 2 more episodes, so we're going to see how this whole thing plays out. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.